I went to Harvard, and perhaps a mistake, because I had thought of locating myself in one of these ongoing projects, so that if I went to Chiapas or Brazil or someplace like that, I would have my own project. I would feel the ethnographic experience of alone among others in community, a form of life which was strange to me, and so forth, which it seems ideologically is the requirement for ethnography and anthropology. But the truth of the matter is there would have been this context of a long relationship of the university or the project to doing these things. So at Harvard I joined a project by a young German anthropologist, gotten his degree in Berkeley and worked in New Guinea, and who had hopes for succeeding at Harvard. He didn't. Klaus Friedrich Koch, who had started one of these projects in Fiji, and he needed someone, and there were about 4 or 5 people who that do legal anthropology, who are friends of mine to this day, who worked in central Fiji, but he needed someone to work in Tonga. So I worked in the Kingdom of Tonga, which was not far off, but was something different. And that was my initiation. I worked there for 2 years. I went back once. My early writings are on that. It's they Christianize, so they're not as exotic as like people in New Guinea, but they have a totally ranked society, and my kind of interest in elites and so forth and so on, you might say, was founded there. I never quite bought the theories of anthropology. I was exposed to them. You can see the pattern. What really captured me was the idea of doing field work. And I was doing the idea of learning about people through how you could produce field work, and how you produce field work. You know, what notes are, what you do with material after you leave the field. All of the things that you might consider to be methodological questions, and can become very boring methodological questions if they're, because everybody has this experience and that does anthropology, and everybody holds it sacred to themselves. But what they talk about, where the capital of success and promotion and stuff is often in talked about the results. And it so had that anthropology very on, not just after writing culture and reflexive move, etc., had probably more tolerance than other disciplines for writing fieldwork experiences into the authoritative accounts that came out of fieldwork. So in anthropology, you could read fieldwork into the literature more easily than other fields. So in sociology, you have some fantastically imaginative methodologists, people whose goal was to really talk about a methodology. Goffman, ethnomethodology, a number of other people. In anthropology, the early fieldwork writings were kind of not as good as the letters from the field business. They were kind of self-indulgent. They were basically all the same, although you could be, if they were great writers, you could be moved by them, and there were some great accounts. But it wasn't a serious enterprise. So that's where I end with graduate school. I did like everybody else. I wrote up my Tongan work. I was a Polynesianist. I hung out among Polynesianists, New Guinea. It was a very rich, the other thing about ethnography and anthropology is certain areas of the world. This is not as true anymore because things have really changed after the 80s and 90s, I would say.